Namaste dosto. So, have you ever actually wondered about the parts of the digital world that you just can't find with a simple Google search? I mean, we literally spend hours every single day scrolling and clicking, right? But the crazy thing is, we're only ever interacting with the very surface of the internet. Beneath all that everyday stuff lies a space that has totally captured the public's imagination. It sparks fear, intense curiosity, and honestly, a whole lot of rumors. Well, today we're going to strip away all that noise and look purely at the facts behind the dark web. So get ready, because we are about to clear the fog on this one.
Okay, let's dive into this. क्या है dark web का असली सच? You know, when we hear the term dark web, our minds immediately flood with these cinematic images of, like, hooded hackers in basements, shadowy digital alleyways, and illegal black markets. But is that really the whole story? Or is it just a Hollywood script? To truly understand our digital environment, we absolutely have to start asking these hard questions and, well, demanding factual answers. We're looking for the Asli Sach, the genuine, completely unvarnished truth.
Section 1. The Dark Web Mystery. Unveiling the Unknown.
Now, everything we're discussing today basically balances on one absolutely crucial scale: myth versus reality. The whole mystery of the dark web exists primarily because it's completely unindexed by standard search engines. It's totally out of plain sight. And as human beings, we're naturally kind of terrified of the unknown, aren't we? So we tend to fill that empty space with our wildest imaginations. But here's the thing: if we can't separate those sensationalized rumors from the actual code, the encryption, and the network infrastructure, well, we literally remain in the dark.
Which brings us to Section 2. Popular Myths Uncovered. Separating Fact from Fiction.
So a myth in this context is really just a sensationalized story that's specifically designed to scare you. For example, I'm sure you've heard the rumor that the dark web makes up like 90% of the internet, hiding beneath the surface like this massive, terrifying underwater iceberg. Well, actually, scratch that. That is mathematically false. The vast majority of the so-called unsearchable internet is literally just boring databases, private company intranets, and, your personal email inbox. The actual dark web is incredibly small. Honestly, these myths are like the digital boogeymen of our time, just exaggerated narratives that blow a tiny sliver of the unknown completely out of proportion.
Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is that when we place the myths directly against the reality, the contrast is just so sharp. They're completely incompatible. The myth tells you the dark web is this wild, unnavigable realm of criminal chaos. But the reality? It's just a heavily encrypted, structured network of servers. That's it. It just requires specific software to access. You simply cannot operate safely or intelligently online if your mental map is based on a myth. We really have to make a choice about which side we're going to use to form our understanding.
Asli Sach. Yeah, it's time to finally move away from the digital shadows and step right into the hard facts. The Asli Sach. This is exactly where the real learning happens.
Section 3. The Real Truth. Unveiling the Asli Sach.
So the crucial point is right here: reality, completely stripped of its Hollywood dramatization. The Asli Sach is that the dark web is basically just a collection of websites that use complex encryption software, things like Tor and onion routing, to mask IP addresses and randomize internet traffic. Now listen, we absolutely and unequivocally condemn its use for heinous illegal activities, right? Things like CSAM, arms dealing, or drug trafficking. But the reality is that the core technology itself isn't inherently evil. In fact, this exact same encryption technology is heavily used by journalists, activists, and whistleblowers to protect their identities and communicate safely under oppressive regimes. So it's not magic, guys. It's just factual data and routing protocols.
And this brilliantly illustrates our whole journey today. Unveiling the unknown layer of the internet, confronting those popular dark web myths, discovering the grounded reality, and finally, knowing the ultimate Asli Sach. Finding this kind of clarity really requires abandoning fear. We've seen that the unknown isn't inherently sinister, that those scary iceberg myths dominating your social media feeds are vastly exaggerated, and that the underlying reality is literally just complex networking technology. We've completely replaced absolute confusion with total grounded clarity. And that is exactly how focused learning works.
Let's wrap up with Section 4, why this matters: the importance of truth. Knowing this stuff really matters, because replacing fear-based myths with factual reality, that is incredibly empowering. I mean, think about it. When you operate out of fear, you make poor decisions. But when you operate out of the truth, the Asli Sach, you can navigate the digital world with real confidence and intelligence. Understanding this isn't just about knowing what onion routing is. It's about reclaiming your rational understanding of the internet itself. And that leaves us with this final, kind of provocative thought to consider. If the scary, totally sensationalized stories about the dark web were mostly just myths masking a much more grounded technical reality, well, what else on the internet is just a myth waiting to be unveiled? What other digital fears are you holding on to right now that might just need a little bit of fact-checking? Keep questioning your assumptions, keep seeking out the Asli Sach, and never stop learning. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.